Welcome to The Fight with Teddy Atlas, presented by Dynamic Striking. I'm Ken Rideout, joined as always by the voice of all combat sports, the legend Teddy Atlas. Teddy, how you doing?
Good. Yesterday was a big day. It was two of my beautiful 4 grandchildren's birthdays. Little Marva was 5, little Joseph was... Actually, their birthdays are today. Marva's birthday's today. Joseph's birthday is Wednesday, but my daughters celebrated them both because they're only 2 days apart. So even though they're 2 years apart, they're only 2 days as far as actual dates. So she had a big celebration down at our house in Jersey, and it was great. It was great. They both got what they wanted. Mara had a pony for pony rides. It was nice. You should have came, Sam. You would have got a nice pony ride, you know. And
Sam loves pony rides.
And Joseph's always thinking about everything, you know. He said, well, when this is over with, the lawn's going to be fertilized, you know. It's going to be, you know, some... I said, yeah, it's the best fertilizer you can get, horse manure. Sometimes you even get it from the 2-legged creatures.
If you live in LA,
you don't always have to wait, you know, for the as far as the BS, but it translates into actual fertilizer with the animals, you know, and the humans. It's just kind of disintegrates into the air as minutia and BS. But so it was a beautiful day. Joseph, he chose, being the real boy that he is, like my other grandson in Vegas, Teddy, the 4th, he decided he was going to have an obstacle course. And I tell you, it was like being at an NFL combine. They were going through these things, the cones and the tires underneath the tunnels, and it was great. It was really great. And then they had face painting. Nothing like seeing somebody go through an NFL combine with face paint. You know what I mean? It was tremendous. It was great. And then Friday, something that's become a little bit of a tradition. I spoke for the 3rd consecutive time to the UConn men's basketball team, coached by Danny Hurley and all his assistant coaches, who are the best. And Danny Hurley's the best basketball coach, I think, in basketball. Forget about college. But
I don't know I don't think that anyone would even try to debate that.
He's that good in all facets of the sport, psychologically, physically, mentally, technically. I mean, he comes from a basketball, you know, royalty family. I mean, you talk about, you know, being born into it. His father was a legend in Jersey City who saved a lot of kids' lives, changed lives, you know, took school kids and made them into Division I prospects from St. Anthony's. Kids that really, without Bobby Hurley in their life, they would have had a hard time having a life, because even the ones that didn't make it basketball, they made it in life because of the discipline, the direction, the tools that he gave them from his program, picking these kids up from nothing, from the streets, and giving them that kind of platform to grow as people. You know, just like boxing does. When it's coached by the right people, it makes better people. Forget about making champions. It makes champion people. And same thing with anything, with any sport. So if it's used the proper way. So anyway, Bobby Hurley was, the father was just a legend in Jersey City. Then his son, Bobby Jr., went to Duke, won 2 national titles over there, went to the NBA. He was a legend, maybe the greatest point guard ever in college basketball. You know, he teamed up with Christian Laettner, and they won 2 national titles. And I think he would have been one of the great guards in the NBA if he didn't have an almost tragic head-on car accident that put him in a coma. And he came back and actually played a little while in the NBA, which he never, ever was able to play to his potential after that car accident. But he was a legendary college player, legendary family. Danny is now the legendary coach. or becoming a legend very fast. They won 2 consecutive national titles. They're going for the three-peat. Like I said, I talked to them the first year when they didn't, the first year they came out of nowhere. They weren't on the radar. They weren't ready going into the year. Danny had asked me if I would speak to the team before the year, and then I wound up staying with them and speaking during the year and doing some videos and stuff. And he's got great assistant coaches to be with him. But now they're going, like I said, they've won 2 consecutive. They're going for the three-peat. It hasn't been done. I don't think it's been done since UCLA and the great John Wooden.
Well, I think one thing that we should point out is in the day of NIL with kids transferring and entering the portal and easy flip-flopping from school to school and getting paid to play, I think the coach's job is more difficult now than ever. You got a different group of kids every single year. You have to recruit. You have to coach. There's just so many facets of it. So to be consistently great like a Nick Saban or Danny Hurley speaks volumes of the coach's abilities and skills.
Is it the same in college basketball as it is in college football? Because I know the football, you're right. You're on the money.
I don't know about the transfer process, but I'm pretty sure that the NIL deals exist, and that makes it difficult for recruiting because I know for a fact kids are getting paid in basketball to go to different schools from the boosters and different sponsorship deals. So I don't know how easy it is to transfer, but it remains difficult to coach a different group of kids every single year, stay consistent, and be at the top of the game. You see, it was certainly in college that the parity is better than ever. Like, you just never know who's going to win. Texas looks unbeatable. Georgia goes in there and destroys them. It's been compelling to see. And so shout out to Danny and all the coaches that have been able to win consistently.
Yeah, and Georgia had been beaten by Alabama. Alabama's lost 2 games already. Ohio State had a $20 million roster. I'll say it again, college. So they have a $20 million roster, which is just unbelievable. They lost.
USC and UCLA are like 2-4, 3-5. They're terrible. Michigan, defending champions. I think they have like 2 or 3 losses. They're getting beat by everybody. It's crazy how quickly this landscape is changing from year to year. It makes it a little bit more exciting. I don't like to see the same teams win all the time. I'm sure the kids at Alabama don't like this, but I find it more enjoyable to see. Now, Army and Navy, both undefeated, 6 or 7-0 each. That's the highlight of the season for me. The thought of those two meeting up at the end of the season undefeated would be a dream come true. They both have to go through Notre Dame, though, and Notre Dame looks good.
Well, Notre Dame's lost the game already, but Navy always has that great running game, great offensive line, great system. Army, I mean, it's tremendous to see our
Army with the wishbone.
Yeah, it's just great. Do they still do the wishbone? I didn't know they still did it. But
I don't know, but look at their average points per game is over 40. They gave up 28 this week, but the prior, they only given up 14.
I haven't heard about a team doing the wishbone since Oklahoma, and that was about 30 years ago. So I don't know.
I think Army has run it the last couple of years. I don't know if they're still doing it, but they are putting up a ton of points.
I mean, listen, my son, Teddy, told me that when Lou Saban was really a genius coach, great coach, one of the greatest, obviously with Bear Bryant, all those guys with national titles, Bear Bryant also Alabama, but Lou Saban brought that team back to the top, the same way Danny Hurley has brought UConn back to the top. But he told me that he was really probably very smart getting out last year, the year that he got out, because he saw what was coming. The landscape was changing. It was more than changing. It was turning upside down with the NILs and all that, the stuff you just talked about. But he saw that. Saban saw that. He saw the change in the air, so to speak, and I think he hopped out at the right time as the legend that he is and he will remain. But just to finish up on UConn, I tell you, forget about NILs. I'm going to go a different direction than you went. Instead of NILs, instead of $20 million rosters, instead of all of that, college basketball, 7'3", 7'4" guys, all of that stuff. And of course, every team loses guys. You bring in new guys. One thing that I've seen for the 3 years that I've been with Danny Hurley that's consistent. It's that when he recruits, it's not only about the physical talent, it's about the character of the individuals. He figures, which I believe in too, he figures, I don't want to train a fighter if I don't think they have character. That's it. I don't care how hard they punch or how fast they are or how swift their feet are. I just don't want to. But Danny felt, and obviously got this through his father to somewhat, he feels that you build, strong from the beginning with character, you will have something that will withstand the storms that will come during a season. Just not just the storms of talent, that waves of talent that are going to come from the Dukes and the North Carolinas and the Arizonas and Gonzagas and Alabamas and Kansas Cities and all of that. All of that. Okay.
Kansas,
I meant to say, I'm sorry. Kansas Jayhawks. But if you build with kids that have character, that is something that will serve you in two ways. It will withstand what's coming, the storm that's going to come, because they will not fall apart. They will not disappear. They will not make excuses. They have, besides the neon talents, they have what I scream about all the time, the quiet talents, dependability, consistency, resiliency, mental toughness, all the things that have nothing to do with genetics, with who your parents are, things that are built, things that are given to you, things that you can attain yourself, the discipline, all these things that, for me, are the cement that keeps the talent blocks in place. You take the talent blocks, and they got to stay in place. The character is, again, it's that glue. It's that cement that keeps them in place. But I said it serves them in two ways. It also serves them in a way where it breeds a culture to follow. That the preceding team, the teams that come, I should say, afterwards, the following teams that are going to come, that it's something for them to follow, something for them to live up to those traits, those characteristics, those expectations, and it's a teaching. It teaches those kids that's what we want here at this university. We want those kids. We want kids that are going to own their own responsibilities, that aren't going to point the finger at someone else, that are ultimately going to be the real kind of teammates that we can build with. And we can feel good about, we can feel proud about, and that we can watch leave our university, whether they leave after 1 year, 2 years, 3, or they stay the full 4, or they don't go to the NBA, whatever. But when they leave our university, we know we did our job. We have made the world a little better in our own little way, that these kids will contribute in other ways other than dribbling and shooting a basketball. So I just want to say that it was a great time Friday with them. Speaking to them, Danny switched it around this year. He had me talk to the team before the practice because he wanted to see, how it kind of impacted them during the practice. He wanted those words, whatever words I gave them, to be kind of ringing in their ears when they went into practice, not just afterwards. So I stayed and watched the whole practice afterwards, and wow, I thought I ran a tight ship in the gym with training camp with my fighters. Man, this guy runs. He runs the kind of ship you're supposed to run if you don't want it to crash into the rocks. If you wanted to go out to sea and visit a lot of beautiful places and be have the voyage you wanted to have, which is a successful voyage that takes you to a lot of beautiful places and takes you to the, ultimately to the grand prize, through March Madness and to the national title. So it was very impressive to see him run this. You know what it was like watching back and forth with these teams? With defense, offense, safety, whoa. 100 miles an hour. They're going one way, then they're going the other way. Danny's got to run off the court so he don't get run over. And he's throwing balls here. And it's just going. It looked like organized chaos.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful thing to watch. I don't care what you're watching it in the courtroom, in the classroom, in basketball, baseball, in training camp, in the bar, wherever you at. Or it was like watching a maestro at an orchestra with a great symphony orchestra where he's conducting. And everything's going, it looks like everything's going, but it's all synchronized. Even though it looks like it's all going, at one time, mishmash. You got the strings, you got the horns, you got the trumpets, you got the drums, you got all the different sections, and the maestro is moving his wand around, whatever the hell the name of those sticks are, right? He's moving that stuff around, and bang, bang, bang. Everyone's hitting the notes at the right time. That was Danny Hurley's practice. Everyone was hitting the notes at the right time. And if they didn't hit the notes at the right time, they knew it. They got told. So nothing soft over there. I hear a lot of people talk about our country's getting soft. We're getting soft in sports. We're getting soft in this way. We're getting soft in that way. We're getting not there. And so it was a great day. It was a great weekend, especially finishing up with the birthdays. And it was, look, we didn't have the headline fight that we had last week to draw in the huge audience that we drew in from last week. We didn't have those kind of star power, if you want, everybody waiting to hear about those fights the last couple of weeks. But this was an interesting fight, too, because you had Tszyu coming back for the first fight since he lost his first fight. When he lost his title, he lost the title to Fedora with that terrible cut. It was kind of like nobody was thinking about the guy who was fighting who had the title. It was like they were only thinking about Tszyu because he's got the name, his father, the great champion, former champion. So they kind of overlooked the other guy, and boy, oh boy, the other guy will not be overlooked anymore. So
the other guy, someone forgot to tell the other guy that he was an afterthought.
Yeah,
and he's one of Agus Clemens' guys too.
Yeah, and Agus Clemens, for those who don't know, he's probably the most successful manager in boxing right now. He's got,
I would agree.
He's got Usyk, he's got Lomachenko, he's got Usyk, he's got a few of the middleweights.
He's got unified heavyweight champion. I mean, that's unified heavyweight champion is the cash cow. He dictates the direction of the entire sport. Agus has him, like you said, Lomachenko. He has Alex Vosdik, or had him when he was the WBC champion. He's got all the Eastern Europeans, the Russians, anyone of consequence seems like Agus has him.
Yeah, he's got a few of the middleweights.
All right, Tszyu, as you said, they were overlooking Bakram Murtazaliev, and Bakram comes in 22-0, runs it to 23-0. Tszyu takes his second loss, drops to 24-2, and to your point, I don't know if they were overlooking this kid, but he beat the brakes off Tszyu. It was hard to watch because, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this aspect of the fight. It looked to me that Tszyu's only strategy here was to just exchange and exchanging, and he was losing every single exchange. He'd land a consequential punch here and there, but he was getting hit with 2 or 3 consequential punches to every one that he might land, and he was getting dropped all over the place. And it was like he wasn't getting any direction seemingly in the corner. Like, hey, we got to change this. If you keep standing in the pocket, you're going to get knocked out cold. And I thought at the end, the ref let him take a little bit too much punishment. I was like, man, come on. Unless he does something different, this is going to end very badly. And he got a vicious knockout. Could have been out cold had it gone another. I mean, I don't know how the ref could have justified letting it go again, but I think he knocked him down 3 or 4 times. It was, I don't know. I had a hard time watching. I like Tszyu, but I'm dying to get your thoughts here. Did he get exposed? Had he not been in with the right competition? What'd you think about the strategy of just standing and exchanging when you've lost 3 or 4 times, meaning he got knocked down 3 or 4 times trying to exchange until inevitably he couldn't get up again? What'd you think?
I think it was too late. The horse was out of the barn. What I mean by that, with your theory, your theory don't hold water in this way. It holds water to the layman, and I agree that you think, hey, the strategy was never changed up. You're not wrong. But those things for strategy, for plans, they all attach to what is taught in the gym, in training camp, in the gym, way before you ever get to the actual fight. That was done. The horse was out of the barn, like I said. It was too late to change strategy in a real way, because habits are part of strategy. Your strategy is attached to your habits that you develop or don't develop in training camp, in the gym, in the teaching center, in the classroom, when the professor's supposed to be there teaching. And those things were already in place. That is what his downfall was. That is what really got him destroyed. 2 things. That was the main one. His habits, his flaws that he got away with other guys got exposed. And you're right, got exposed in those ways where, simply put, you said he was just looking to, whatever you said, slug it out, or, looking to exchange. He was looking to land right hands. And the problem with him was, after he threw a right hand, he didn't move. He took a picture. He waited for the receipt, like the old timers would tell me, like Cuz would tell me. You don't wait for a receipt. You move your head after your last punch. Those habits are not there. And I saw those bad habits in the past. I saw them there.
I guess that's what I meant, is that he was happy to throw that right hand and take the chance of getting hit back and just unload with no recourse.
Good habits will save you in your career. Bad habits will sooner or later show up to destroy you. Sooner or later. I mean, you fight enough fighters that is softer to me, or whatever, that you have an edge on, power, physical strength, intimidation, speed, whatever. And you could be doing things wrong you get away with. But if you don't correct those things, the bad habits will come back to haunt you. The good habits will take you to victory. They will take you to a higher place and to a title. Often, if you can combine them with enough things. And his habit of throwing a right hand and standing there got him caught with counter left hooks. The commentators, whatever. But they kept harping. I thought the production could have been a little better. I thought that, I know they had audio problems, and at the end, but they kept showing at the end, with interviews and all, they kept showing the right hand behind the ear. Yeah, the right hand. The left hook started it. The beautiful left hook counter by the champion, Bakram. I'll use his first name. That'll keep me out of trouble. Beautiful counter left hook. He throws the right hand. He doesn't move. He stands there. He poses. He gets hit a counter left hook. That started the problem in both times when he got dropped and both times when he got hurt, finally getting stopped in the 3rd round, where the right hand was window dressing. It finished the job, I get it, but the left hook started the whole damn thing. And again, he don't move after his leg. He stands there. He stands straight up in front of the guy where you're a target, and he stands straight up after he punches, where, guess what? The other guy, usually after you punch, the other guy's usually one of the basic things you teach someone is come right back. So if they don't move, you catch them, and you don't let them continue with the offensive flow. You don't let them control the rhythm of the... I know I teach my guys that. You don't let them get control of the music for too long, where they're getting a string of punches, a string of offense, where they're getting the water running. You want him to shut the tap of the water off. You don't want the water to keep running. You don't want the music to continue. So what do you usually teach a guy? After he throws, come right back with yours so he can't dominate you with an offensive flow. Break it up. Give him something to go defensive with. So he throws his right hand. The champion comes right back with the left hook. He nails him. Bad happens. Bad happens come back to roost. And they came back to roost. I think there's another part, and I give the commentators credit for this. They really covered this. It was like a news report where you are being given information you might need. Where all of a sudden you're told, you hear flash, bad winds coming. Be careful if you're going out on the road. Bad winds coming, bad storms, torrential rain, newsflash. Well, they told you. They said, look, we talked to Bakram. His last fight, he didn't look that great. A lot of people were down on him. And they said, yeah, he struggled, I think it was his last fight. And that there's a good chance that the Tszyu people took this fight or went into this fight off of that. I don't know if they took this fight from a management standpoint of saying, okay, let's sign a contract now because of that. Or they went into camp planning their strategy and their fight plan off of that last performance. Either way, I think there's a good chance they did, and it was a mistake. I think that was part of the mistake. See, I know this is easy. This is like Monday morning quarterback after the Sunday game. For me to say, and I'm going to say it anyway, I thought they made a mistake taking this fight. I thought at the end of the day, three things. Bakram was too big, too strong, and better than they thought. I think they might have taken this fight off of what these commentators hit right on the button, that they took it off of his last fight. And here's why that was wrong. And the commentators said this. They laid it out. Bakram is a devout Muslim. And his last fight was during the most holiest time for the Muslim religion, during Ramadan. And during Ramadan for a month, you cannot eat during the day. Drink, eat anything during the day until after the sun goes down. I believe I'm saying that right. I hope I am. I would never want to obviously say something wrong when it comes to such important things like talking about someone's religion and religion practices. But so during, I know a lot of devout Muslims that are fighters that they won't take a fight during Ramadan for that reason, because it's very, very physically very difficult to train during that time because you can't get the proper nutriment. You're training during the day and you're depleted physically. You're not hydrated. You don't have the calories in you. You don't have the carbs in you to burn. And you can get yourself into perilous places. It could be a very difficult situation physically. He is a tough son of a gun. He comes from that part of the world that they're very tough. Along the lines of the way I described, better beef. Very strong, hard mental people. He took the fight and he got through it. He didn't look his best. He got through it. He was compromised, I'm sure, from the things we just spoke about in his last fight, in his training. Now he comes and he fights in this fight, no Ramadan, fully, physically, up to par. Obviously there was nothing in any way that compromised him in training. And you saw the real Bakram that I don't think that the Tszyu people, including the fighter, really, truly knew was the true Bakram. A big, strong son of a gun. He's long, he's tall, he's powerful, he's physical. You know, he knows what he's doing. He's got a good amateur background. I think they were caught by surprise. And, you know, it's a little late. It's a little late. You know, you can't get caught by surprise in this game, in anything. But I think that was part of it. And I think that the rest of it is what I said, that some of his bad habits of Tszyu were exposed in this particular fight. Just a demolition job by Bagram. You know, he just, you know, he used that long jab in the first round, controlled things, and then he went to work. You know, he went to work. You know, second round, he dropped Tszyu. He dropped him twice, I believe, in the second round. The last one was just before the bell, I believe. And then the thing that I was curious about, he dropped him 3 times in the last round. The third round, he dropped him 3 times. I guess, obviously, I didn't check into this, but I guess there was no 3 knockdown rules, because a lot of times there's a 3 knockdown rule in effect in these fights. I guess in this particular fight, there was no, I don't think the IBF has a 3 knockdown, maybe. Maybe that's why. Obviously, that must be why. And otherwise, it would have been over right there. But he got dropped, showed a lot of heart, Tszyu, got dropped 3 times, you know, and then he gets up, and then the last knockdown, a right hand behind the ear, you know, it was finally over. The corner threw in the towel. You know, before the third round started, when he got dropped those 2 times in the second round, did you notice the doctor came up? You don't see that too often. He got some extra time, Tszyu. I was wondering if that was going to impact the fight. It didn't. Turned out it really didn't. But before the third round started, here's the doctor looking at him, you know, I guess doing his job. You can't say he wasn't. But why didn't he do that in the corner?
Agreed.
It's like he comes up after the minute rest is over, and he starts examining Tszyu. And
I was wondering the same thing. I wonder if they don't want to take time away from the trainers to like work with the fighter, and then but if you're on the other side and have scored the knockdowns, it seems kind of unfair to give the guy an extra 30 seconds to recover.
Well, that's why I'm bringing it up. It just seems strange that, you know, I don't know if that's their way now, because I've never really seen it. I don't know if I've seen it before, maybe once. But so anyway, the doctor comes up, beginning of the third round. He holds up the round. He looks at him. He looks in his eyes with the light and everything else, and then he lets him go. And then, of course, Bagram goes back to work, and he winds up obviously taking him apart in the third round. The third round was the third round? No, it was 3 knockdowns, I guess, in the second round, Ken. I have to correct myself
he stopped
here.
him in the third.
Yeah, he stopped him in the third. So, but the 3 knockdowns in the second, again, if that 3 knockdown rule had been in effect, the fight would have been over there. But again, I guess the IBF, you can look it up while I'm talking if you want, but I guess the IBF obviously doesn't have the 3 knockdown rule. I think I remember that.
Do you think it would be IBF or the state sanctioning body?
I think it would be the IBF rules for the world title anyway, but I think so. But obviously, it must have been no 3 knockdown rule. Otherwise, he would have got stopped in the second. He gets a little extra time by the ref the beginning of the third.
The rules say the 3 knockdown rule means the fighter knocked out 3 times. The fighter automatically overruled TKO. The rule is only in effect if the particular state athletic commission recognizes it.
So maybe they didn't recognize it. Yeah. What state? What state were we in?
That fight was in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, Florida. So at the end of
no 3 knockdown rule in Florida.
Yeah. Now, the last knockdown, I guess, came behind the ear in the second round, I guess it was. And then the third round, again, the corner winds up throwing. You know, he gets dropped. He gets hurt again. Third round, he throws the right hand, gets caught with the left hook counter. He gets dropped again. The corner throws in the towel. To your point, I thought the referee should have stopped it earlier. I really thought that. I thought the referee really could have gotten Tszyu hurt.
I agree.
And at the end of the day, but that's, I think that covers everything that could be covered in a one, as it turned out, a one-sided fight.
Yeah. All right. Well, in the next one I want to cover on the undercard was Australia's Cesar Mateo Tapia against Andre Saavedra from Venezuela. Mateo comes into the fight 17-0. Andre Saavedra comes in at 16-1. Incredible fight. I thought this was like one of the best fights of the night. They go the distance. The judges score the fight. It ends up being a majority draw. One judge had Tapia winning 94-92, and the other two judges scored at 93 apiece, and basically ensuring a rematch, which I'm sure will be welcomed by the fans of boxing, because I thought this fight was excellent. How'd you like it?
Not one of the best fights of the night. It was one of the best fights of the year. This has to be up.
Yeah.
For a candidate for Fight of the Year. Tremendous. Phone booth fight. I was looking to see if there were any signs, where you put a sign up, like sometimes you go into a restaurant, Ken, and there's a sign that says no dogs allowed. I was wondering if there would be a sign up that said no jabs allowed, because these guys, they had a disdain for jabs. They just drew power punches from the beginning to the end. I mean, they did not take. When you see people that don't have to go through a formal introduction when they meet each other, Sam. They meet each other, they come right up. They come right up to each other, they give each other a hug, they give each other a slap on the back, whatever. No formal introduction. That was these guys. No introduction to get to know each other. Just walk right into the center of the ring, get in each other's grill, and go to work. And again, a phone booth fight, I call them, where, and the old timers called them, where they're just going at it. All power punches, just going at it, volumes of punches over. Again, when someone's technique was a little better, it showed. There was nothing really sophisticated here, at all. Nothing polished, nothing fancy. The thing that was fancy, the thing that was polished, the thing that was awesome was their mental state, their resiliency, their heart, their warrior spirits. The fight was a testament to their courage, to both of their refusal. You talk about ebbs and flows. You talk about back and forth. You talk about, I mean, both these guys, one guy is dominating, looks like he's going to stop him. That was Saavedra at the beginning. He's dominating. Looks like he's going to, it looks like he's going to, go through Tapia. Tapia got dropped 2 times in the third round. He got dropped again in the 9th. But after getting dropped 2 times in the third, and Saavedra looking like he's going to, just wash over him like a wave at the shore that washes over some kid's sandcastle, right? It looks like that's what's going to happen. And then in the 5th round, Saavedra gets dropped by Tapia. And when every once in a while, when a little bit of technique kind of poked his head up, out of the swarm of punches, the swamp of punches, just the fuselage of punches, and again, the punches mixed in with the tenacity of both men, with the refusal. Both men just refused to be showed the dark. They refused. They were like taking a kid and trying to force him into a dark room, and he runs right back out into the light. He just runs right back out in the light. No. I don't want the dark. I want the light. Every time these guys looked like the lights were gone, like it was just going to be a dark place for them. They just went and found another place and another place until they finally found light. It was incredible. And I again, it shows you the greatness of mankind, the greatness, whether it's men or women, but the greatness of the human spirit. How great it is when it's great, when it's at its best, when it's been trained, when it's been strengthened, when it's been developed, when it's been built, to handle such things. There's almost like every time you can't even quantify. Well, sometimes you go buy a battery. It's a AA, it's a AAA, right? It's a Everlast battery. It's this battery. You can't quantify what the strength of the battery of a human being is, because it's like the greatness of the human spirit. It recharges and reinvents the battery as the process is going on. It's like it's got an ability, its own charger, to like take it to another level of battery. Like it started off as a AA, it becomes a AAA. Like that force of nature, that thing that we can't quantify, that we can't put our fingers on, that you can't explain in a test tube, that in a science, in a science setting, the doctors, the scientists, anyone, even when you get down to molecules and you get down to genetics and you get down, well, this guy's got more quick twitch fibers and all that stuff. But we're talking about something else that's not as tangible, just the human spirit, when that it just reinvents itself. It recalibrates itself. It just could go to another place if you're one of those people that is willing to go to those other places. And these guys were. And I know I'm giving them a lot here, but they deserve it. And yeah, their technique was not that great. Every once in a while, when somebody's technique was a little bit better, bang, it showed. Like when all of a sudden, Saavedra, when he got one of the first knockdowns early, he punched with Tapia instead of punching after or punching, in solo. When he timed the punch, a right hand, I think it was, they were both landing right hands. It was because he threw it as Tapia was throwing. Again, a little higher level of technique, a little separation, bang. And then all of a sudden, he's dominating the fight. And then what happens? In the fifth round, Tapia comes back and scores a knockdown. How? He separates a little bit, takes a little step back, he gets a little separation. Saavedra throws a couple jabs. What happens? He leaves the left hand out there. What happens? He throws the left hand from too close. And what does Tapia do? He throws a counter right hand. Technique in the midst of all this, barbarism, barbaric, clubbing and everything else. All of a sudden, the technique of the right hand over the jab, bang! He gets back in the fight. He scores a knockdown. It was just beautiful. It was beautiful stuff. It really was. I mean, there were no during the fight. I thought Saavedra might have had an edge, believe it or not, because Tapia was the one who got one of the scorecards. Then there was two even that made it a majority draw.
Yep.
But I thought Saavedra might have done a little bit more of the damage during the fight. Very hard to equate because they both did a lot of damage. But I thought he might have done a little more. And this guy was just a punching machine. At the party, at my grandkids' party, they had a bubble machine that just kept throwing bubbles out all day. Bubbles. That was Saavedra. That was both of them. But that was Saavedra. He was the bubble machine. He was the punch machine. He just kept pumping out punches. He got slowed down, then he got started again. Both of them were tremendous. I thought Saavedra might have. I didn't even try to score it, Ken. Full disclosure. I said, "Fix this." I took my paper and I threw it in the garbage. I threw it up in the air. I said, "Forget it. I'm just watching this. I'm just watching this damn thing. I'm just enjoying this. Ken, Sam, I'm just watching this thing. I don't care. I throw the paper away. I'm not going to score them. I'm not even going to try to score them." And then I made one thing. I did make a mental note. I said, before it was over, when I still didn't know if someone was going to get knocked out, I still didn't know. Nobody knew. I said, this has to be a draw. To be fair, it has to be a draw. I don't care if Saavedra has a little edge, if Tapia has a little. It's got to be a draw because this truly does fit. It does fit when we use that saying, there are no losers. There are no losers. The fans won, the sport won, and both fighters won. And so they got it right. It was a draw, and it deserved to be a draw. And now, before the inevitable, you have to have the rematch, but before the inevitable, they got to get a rest. They got to get a long rest. They need a long rest. They took a lot of punishment. And the last thing I'll say from the analysis side, I did make a note when it was that phone booth fight, and there was no jabbing, basically, and it was just power punches, and it was just, back and forth, will against will against will. When that was going on, I made two notes. If somebody uses the jab, which nobody really did, they're going to get a little bit of a separation in this fight. And then I said, forget that. I crossed that out. I said, all right, forget that. I said, whoever goes to the body, whoever goes and digs to the body is going to get a little separation and an edge in this kind of fight. And they both did it in spots, but the guy who did it more late to me was Saavedra. And when he did it late, he got a little bit of separation, I thought, when he went to the body. But I thought that for me, if I'm in the corner with that kind of fight, so you got to deal with what you have. You can't say, okay, let's start boxing like like Willie Pep. Let's start boxing like Pinell. No, that's not what we're going. That's not what's happening here. That's not what your guys are geared to do. That's not what they're trained. That's not what they are. So what do we do here? All right, we're in a box fighting like this. I'm gonna tell my guy, listen, you both are banging away like hell. Both of you have great heart. You both have great chins. Let's bang this guy's body. Let's bang his body. Let's bang his freaking body. Let's see what happens over there. So for me, that would be the key. If I had been commentating on the fight, that's what I would have zeroed in on. If I was in a corner, that's what I would have zeroed in. Anyway, that's enough. Just bravo to both guys. You really are. You are something. It was funny when a commentator said these are a lot of ebbs and flows, and he did. He said that, and he's right. I said to myself, what I would have been saying was there's a lot of booms and bangs. Forget ebbs and flows. Ebbs and flows don't describe it properly. A lot of boom. And Sam, you're too young. I don't know. Ken, you remember the Batman television series years
they
ago?
put up the graphics.
They
boom,
used to
pow.
put the caption, boom, pow, bang, boom, bang, boom, bang. That's really what I thought of in this fight. That the old Batman TV series where, you had those captions of bang, boom, because that's what it was all night.
Yep.
Bang and boom, boom and bang, bang and boom.
Well, the last one that we want to cover from that Orlando card is the promising prospective fighter, prospective champion, Jonas Tellez stopped Johan Gonzalez from Venezuela. Scull runs his record to 9-0, I believe.
No, you're talking about Tellez and Gonzalez.
Yeah,
Tellez. Tellez,
Johan Tellez runs his record to 9-0. He stops Johan Gonzalez in the 7th round, had him down once in the 6th. When he dropped him the second time in the 7th, refs waves it off. But Tellez did what you would expect a prospect to do. Got him out of there got him out of there the way you'd like to see him get out. The veteran who runs his record now to 35-4. How'd you like that one? What'd you think of Tellez?
And Gonzalez got 34 knockouts. Look, listen, Gonzalez 33 years old, Tellez 24, 9 years difference. Tellez is southpaw. Tellez from Cuba, where they have some of the great amateurs come out of there and go on to become world champions quite often. The thing I want to say about this fight that begs to be said, if you know anything about this sport, has to be said. Kudos to my man Louis the Cubas. He's the Cuban connection forever. Always was bringing the Cubans over here. I think he's involved with Tellez. I believe he is. I saw his partner Margulies, the lawyer, in the corner. So I think that he is. But I didn't see him. But here's the thing. Kudos to Tellez's people in this way. A lot of times in my sport, in this sport, you will hear the connections of the fighter talk, glowingly about their fighter, how great he is, how he's going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. You're gonna hear all that kind of stuff. You hear the crazy Bob Arum, the promoter, one of the great promoters. But I remember him saying, "Oh, this guy's going to be better than Muhammad Ali." Like, it's a little absurd, but they go into that hyperbole, they go into that hyperbia, they go into those places, and it's a common practice sometimes. This is one time that I didn't have to hear crap, diddly squat, from Tellez's people saying how great he is. They told me that they believe he's great without one word, Spanish or English, coming out of their mouths, without one freaking word, because action is always stronger than words. Proof is always in the pudding. The pudding of your belief in putting up in what you do, not what you say. And that's what they did to me. And you don't see that often in this business. These guys, after 8 fights with this kid, who's obviously a tremendous talent, tremendous prospect, they told me, again, without a word uttering from their mouth, that they believe this guy's going to be great. They believe he's going to be a world champion. That they have confidence in this guy by who they put him in with. Gonzalez was a solid guy. So now he's got 39 fights. He's 35-4 now. He was a guy that if you didn't believe in your guy, you wouldn't put him in after 8 fights. You just wouldn't. You wouldn't do it.
Like you said, 34 of his 35 wins by knockout, no matter who he's fighting. That's a huge knockout percentage.
Yeah, well, look, it matters who you're knocking out, too. I mean, you got to look at that. But
I agree. But at that weight, at super welter, to be knocking out guys like that it's a lot of knockouts.
There's a lot of guys to get knocked out that are out there that know how to fight. But listen, no, This guy was a solid, real deal guy that could test a guy and could knock off a prospect if a prospect wasn't up to what he's supposed to be up to, and which a lot of times they aren't. And Tellez was up to it. Tellez proved his connections, his backers, his people, that their confidence in him, their belief in him was right. It was rectified. It was justified. It was 100% on the button justified. And I know what they believe in him. When I saw this Gonzalez, I said, wow, these guys really do. They're either being stupid or they really know what they have, and they know this guy can stand the acid test. He can stand the test, the fire coming. He can stand. And it's time. Because even though he only had 8 fights, he had a million amateurs, and what are you going to do? You have a choice. You keep getting their record fatter with easy touches. You pick a few here and there, okay. But for the most part, these guys get easy touches, fat erect, but they don't learn. They don't improve. They don't necessarily get better. And this was the fight I begged for, that I yell about when I did the commentating, that when you have an amateur, when you have a prodigy possibly, but when you have an amateur that comes from these great Olympic programs, these great national, amateur programs that have all this experience, that have been fighting top fighters for their whole life since they were little babies, and now they're going into the pros. You don't need 25 stiffs. You don't need 25, as they say, as my man Paulie Malignaggi say, you don't need 25 Uber drivers. You don't need that. You need a few to get your legs wet, to get your footing under you, get your feet wet, to get into the pros, to get acquainted with the distance, acquainted with knowing that it's still boxing. It's nothing different. It's just that it's more rounds, but it's still boxing. You get past that psychological, part of it, the baptism of it, and they don't need to keep getting those that you see a lot of times on ESPN, quite frankly. They keep giving them these guys that like I say, is like feeding time at the zoo. It's like feeding raw meat to the lions. Like, you know that these guys shouldn't be in there with these prospects, and they get gobbled up in 1 round, 2 rounds. And what does it do? It fattens their record, but they don't get any questions answered, where they're going to need those questions answered when they step up later in better quality fights, where they're going to have to know, can I handle this? Can I depend on myself? That's a big question for these kids. And Tellez got those answers, and he got those questions thrown at him, and he had the answers. Yeah, I'm ready. And he found out he was ready. I saw the development of a fighter, of a future world champion, I believe, in Tellez during that fight, where Gonzalez, this man, he kept throwing and throwing and throwing, and he wasn't letting up even when he got hurt in a few spots to the body and uppercuts a little bit. He kept coming. He was winning the fight early. He was ahead. I was saying, wow, this is interesting. We're going to see how good this kid is. And obviously his people wanted to find out, or they figured that they knew, and this was going to show them. And again, this was going to just solidify their judgment that they had this special guy. This was going to cement that judgment. And as the rounds went by, 4 or 5, he came on a little bit in the 4th. Then the 5th round, as the rounds stirred, especially the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, he's thrown so many punches. I'm saying, wow, this is a real test here. Gonzalez is ahead in this fight. And Tellez wasn't doing a lot early. He was watching. He was seeing what he had to see. He was covering up real well. He wasn't doing a real lot. But then he got into a fight where he was forced to bring the best out. See, that's what I like about why you got to give these kids that have that kind of background, that kind of experience in amateurs, that kind of developed talent. You got to give them something that's going to help bring their talent to the surface. Otherwise, it gets wasted. They keep fighting these, like Paulie says, Uber drivers. They don't have to go into the well. They don't have to dig down. They don't have to find out what's there. And it's there, but they don't have to bring it up. And sometimes it never gets up. And by the time you bring it up, it's too late. Tellez was forced in this fight to go to the well, to bring out whatever it is that his connections felt that he had. And he had it. And he brought it out. He started placing. I thought he was behind. He started warming up the engines. He started getting going. He knew he had to get going. He knew he couldn't coast. If it was another kind of less of a opponent, he could have coasted. We never would have saw these parts. We would have never saw these sides. He started placing hard body shots. He started using his jab, throwing right uppercuts. He was throwing a looping right hand early. I thought, that don't look so good. It's a looping shot. It could be a little reckless. it could be a little dangerous. Then all of a sudden I saw the science behind it. I saw the genius behind it. Oh, he throws it after he gets guys ready. He goes behind the glove, and then he throws one of those to get the guy to another place, to be able to bring it to another dimension, to score a big shot behind the ear where the guy was covered up before in other areas where a straight shot wouldn't have got in, and to open up in a different way where he's thinking about something wide, and then the uppercut could come up the middle later, and it makes it easier for that to happen. I saw all that. I saw him again. I'm not going to say his back was against the wall, but his back was starting to be pushed towards the wall. And before it got against the wall, his fighting instincts, what's inside this kid that they're bargaining on to be great, had to come out. It had to be. It was like he had to whistle. Hey, get here. Come on. Like he had to whistle to those talents. Come on, get up here. I need you. Get up here. I know I didn't need you the first 8 fights. I need you now. And they came. They heard the whistle. And they came. And it was really, for me, as a trainer, it was really beautiful to watch. To watch I'm giving credit not just to the fighter, but his people, that they knew. I think a lot of these guys really ruin prospects. They give them nothing but chocolate. They give them nothing, but sweets all the time. And then they have to go to the dentist and get all their teeth taken out. They don't give them any protein to get better, anything to grow. Anything, and the protein is guys like Gonzalez at the right time to make them better, to let them grow, to let them know that, I can depend on, to ask them questions and let them know they got the answers to those questions. Because you don't want those questions being asked for the first time when they're in a world title fight. And that's the first time they're being asked a question, and they're in there with a real guy. You don't want them asked that. You want them asked and answered before they get to, and that's his people. They are raising this kid. It's like raising a kid. Teach them things. Don't just let them do what they want. Teach them things at the right time. They are raising this kid, this 24-year-old Tellez, who's now 9-0 with 7 knockouts. They are raising him the right way. The right way. To be successful, to be a champion. And I just wanted to cover it that way because that's the way it should be covered. I think to see that, at the end of the day, you say, oh, he just got rid of a guy he was supposed to get rid of. No. He got rid of a guy because he was the right guy. And the other guy was a tough guy. And if Tellez wasn't the right guy, he don't do that. He didn't do it just because it was the right opponent. No. He did it because he's the right prospect.
Yep. Well, before we jump over to Germany and cover the William Scull Vladimir Shishkin fight, let me just say, if you are planning on traveling to Germany or anywhere overseas or anywhere domestically, I strongly suggest you take your Athletic Greens with you. Athletic Greens is the all-in-one green drink developed by several doctors to include 75 whole food source ingredients. You mix a scoop in the morning. It's my one go-to supplement that I can't live without. Go to athleticgreens.com/Atlas and they'll send you 10 of these free travel packs with your first purchase. Teddy and I have been on the Athletic Greens for about 5 years now. These guys have been with us from the beginning. If you like the show, if you care about your health, if you care about your overall wellness and immune system, please consider adding Athletic Greens to your supplemental protocol. athleticgreens.com/Atlas for all your vitamins, minerals, and nutrient needs. All right, let's go over to Brandenburg, Germany, where William Scull moves to 23-0. He wins the vacant IBF title that was stripped from From Canelo, no idea why, just because they guess they needed another fight and some sanctioning fees. But no one in the world views this guy as a world champion while Canelo is in the division. He wins a fairly dull fight. I don't think that he's in any threat or danger of having to get in the ring with Canelo anytime soon. Probably missed a huge payday by not looking impressive. He wins.
Wait. I'm going to stop you.
Yep.
See, the road you're going down, the logic you're using is that he's not good enough. And I'm not dismissing you. I'm not arguing. But here, that he's not good enough to really be a real threat to Canelo. He's not good enough. But that's exactly why he might get the fight.
Fair.
Because
he's 23-0 with 9 knockouts.
It don't matter.
I got you.
Canelo, I'm not knocking Canelo. The fans are already sharpening their bayonets. I get it. The Mexican fans, they're already saying, "Oh, Teddy's knocking our man." I'm not knocking him. I'm pointing things out. I am not knocking him. He's a tremendous fighter, Canelo. You don't need my verification on that, or you don't need my anything on that. But I am pointing out Canelo picks spots. And because this guy is not a threat, or doesn't seem to be, I'm taking nothing away from the guy. He won the title, and he's undefeated. He's a good boxer, good counterpuncher. But at the end of the day, yeah, it doesn't seem that he would have much of a chance against Canelo. He's not ready for that step up. But that's exactly, Canelo picks the spots. He gets away with it. He's the golden goose. He's the pay-per-view king. He still gets numbers no matter what. So he might want to pick this guy for the exact opposite reason of what you're saying, that he's not deserving of it. That might be the exact reason why Canelo will take him, because he look at it as an easy in-between fight and pick up another title. Even though it was his title. Get another one, because they took it away. Take it back. Put another couple quarters in your pocket. Put another. To me, those belts are like quarters. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yep. They might be tin quarters. They might not really be made out of copper and whatever goes into those things, a little silver and stuff. They might be the kind of nickels that the old timers would bend with their teeth, because they weren't a real nickel. You know what I mean? But he might want to go back and say, okay, I gave that one away. Let me go take it again. So I can justify an easy fight, because it has a so-called title attached to it. Once again, because the guy has a C, champion, a C, right? Has a C next to his name. So anyway, go ahead, finish the introduction of it, Ken. I'm sorry, but I just had to interject that in.
Yeah, well, if he was looking to be exciting in his audition fight, he failed, but to your point, may still get the fight. But anyone Canelo fights next, other than David Benavidez, is going to be met with a lot of criticism from everyone other than the superfans. Scull wins the fight 116-113, 16-12, and 115-113. Like I said, a little bit of excitement in the 12th round when Shishkin landed a big shot. But other than that, pretty dull fight. Not much to see here other than the dull fight, and Scull becomes a champion. Congratulations to William Scull. Did what he had to do to win. But it'll be interesting to see what happens next. What'd you think of the actual fight?
Dull. Not exciting, not riveting. Not exactly a barn burner. Matter of fact, not even much of a campfire. But
that's exactly what I was thinking when you said not a barn burner.
I thought Shishkin was the more aggressive fighter throughout. I had him winning early on some of the fight. I didn't score it, but I didn't know about those scores at the end. I see how maybe you get to them because Scull dominated the championship rounds except for the 12th round. He lost the 12th. It was a strange ending because I couldn't even tell it looked like a jab of Shishkin's landed on Scull, and Scull was so hurt he turned, he stumbled to the other side of the ring. I mean, Shishkin could have went after him. You know that old saying, protect yourself at all times? He could have went after him, but it was really weird. Like he gets hit like a non-consequential moment, and all of a sudden it's consequence to it. All of a sudden, Scull is like I said, he looks like he's sleepwalking. All of a sudden he's stumbling towards the other corner, and he's half out of it, and Shishkin doesn't know what to do. He jumps on. He doesn't get a chance to. He doesn't finish him. You know, obviously, but he wins the round. He wins the round, obviously big. But he lost the 10th and 9th. The 10th and 11th. I'm sorry. The 10th and 11th, going into the championship rounds, Scull had dominated. He had hurt Shishkin. He dominated those rounds. And like I said, Shishkin comes back, which showed a lot of heart. And he comes back, so they deserve that. And he comes back in the 12th. He hurts Scull with that, whatever it was.
I think it was a left hand.
It looked like a jab, but
yeah,
whatever
it was definitely
left. He hurts, or maybe it was something else. I didn't see it. They didn't do a great job of really showing it. But at the end of the day, all two contrasting styles. Shishkin was throwing more punches. Shishkin was pressing. He looked like the bigger guy. He was pressing. He was aggressive. He was pressing behind the jab. He was going to the body with right hands. He was very simple. Both guys were very simplistic. Shishkin mostly, for the most part, jab, right hand. Set the table, jab, eat a little bit with the right hand. Scull, everything was mostly counter punches. You know, pretty good counter puncher. No power, like you said, 9 KOs, where Shishkin would do something, Scull would come back. But Shishkin would outwork him. Scull would come back with a counter punch, look for a counter left hook or counter right hand, whatever. He would look to catch Shishkin after he finished, or while he was throwing, or right after he finished. You know, maybe Shishkin's still there. He didn't put a defensive move in after the offensive move. And Scull would always come back for the most part, trying to catch him on the back end. Shishkin was fighting a fight on the front end with leads, jabs, right hands. Scull was fighting and trying to win the fight. His style was completely different on the back end, where he did everything off your mistakes, everything off the counter. That was his mentality. And that's what he did. He didn't waste much. I give him credit, but he didn't throw much. He was being outworked for the most part. Now, you can make an argument, and I'll take it. I'll take it because I make this argument. It's not quantity, it's quality, and I agree with that. Scull was the one who was looking to land the cleaner, the more place punches, if you will. The more educated punches, the counter punches. But he was looking to make whatever he did throw count, because he did not throw much. That's why I had him losing a good amount of those rounds. Scull was, again, you give him credit for the quality of the punches versus the mass quantity of Shishkin's punches. All right, I'll give him. So what do you like better? I always like the one who's landing cleaner. But it wasn't the easiest fight to score, because Skull's not doing much. He's trying to place shots without wasting anything. He's trying to make everything count. Shishkin's throwing more. Even if he's not landing clean, he's winning the battle of punch numbers, sometimes in a pretty large way. It made it because there was nothing being done in a real clear way to give the edge to either guy. There was nothing, that big on either side that was happening. So Shishkin's cautiously, fighting a cautious fight. Scull, I meant to say, is fighting a cautious fight, counterpunching. Shishkin's fighting a cautiously aggressive fight behind the jab. That's why you didn't get a lot of, excitement in the fight. At the end of the day, I was the 116, 113. What was the other one? 115, 113. I guess
16, 13, 16, 12, and 15, 13.
Yeah, I don't see the 16, 12. I don't know if I see any of. I could see, like I said, if Scull, I thought it was a close fight. If Scull wins it, which he did, he wins it in the late rounds. But then he almost gives it back. That's the crazy part and the weird part. He takes the 10th and 11th, and then he almost gives it all back in the 12th when Shishkin hurts him. So, with a punch that was almost a phantom punch to me. Now, maybe somebody saw it better than me. Okay, I have no problem being corrected. I didn't go back and watch it 10 times because watching it once was enough for me. And I'm not trying to knock them, but again, it wasn't exactly it wasn't exactly the War of the Worlds. So at the end of the day, we try to report on everything. It was a title fight. It was an interim title. I guess something that did have excitement, something that did have was riveting, was sudden, it was explosive. It did not last for 12 rounds. You did not get bored. But what you did get, or what I got, and I think Ken too, and I'll let him take it after this, but you got scared. You got scared. You got scared. Because there's a new league, right? And they're doing their thing.
Yep.
And I always talk about the referees, the judges, the refs. They are, other than the fighters, they are the most important parts of this sport because they sometimes do have life and death in their hands. They really do. They have careers in their hands as judges. And as a ref, they have careers and lives in their hands. And I'm telling you, if they're going to continue with this league, they better get their act together with better judges because that was not an auspicious start, at least with that judge, for me, because it got scary. Tell the fans what that I'm talking about is.
Yeah, Francis Ngannou wins the PFL heavyweight title in his first fight back in MMA after a foray into boxing. Francis actually shoots a takedown. Obviously had been working on the ground game with his coach Eric Nixick and the whole team over there at Extreme Couture. Francis takes down the bigger Brazilian fighter and just starts pummeling him and landing bombs on him. And the guy was turning his head a little. Francis got him a couple shots on the back of the head inadvertently, but he probably took, I don't know, what do you think, 3 to 6 shots too many before the ref stepped in?
More, Ken.
Yeah, he was getting pummeled.
Ken, I don't know where your math comes from, but my math, I don't know. I think it was more, Ken, and I'm just glad that the guy's alive because that literally, and I'm not being over the top here because I never want to be over the top with something this important or this serious, ever, because it's not something to be over the top. It's something to be taken seriously because, it is serious. And I'm just trying to put a warning out there. I'm just trying to make people aware so it doesn't happen again where we get this close to something where I felt like you literally could have been watching somebody get beat to death. I don't know. Some people go, do you want to come at me and say you're overdoing it with this? I don't think I am because Ngannou is a tremendously beyond normal strength guy. He is a guy.
He's one of the biggest, most athletic guys I've ever seen in person. He's just gigantic, and that was Renan Ferreira that he beat. Apologies, the name escaped me for a minute, but my goodness, he is big. He was huge too.
Yeah, 100%. But it's different, but huge and being powerful.
Yes.
And just having that kind of natural power and strength. And Ngannou is powerful. He's strong. He's big. He's big and he's like an oak tree, but he's strong.
It's just like a giant athlete. Everything about him is like flawless physically.
He got him down. He took the takedown. He got him on the mat. He got, obviously he mounted him. He got on top. And the opponent was very game. He was trying to block. But through sheer force of the punches, they started getting through. And then once they got through, they had the impact, the effect that, those kind of punches are going to have, especially with somebody. You got to understand, there's another variable here. There's something at work I don't think anybody's thinking of why I am so adamant about what I'm saying about he could have got beaten to death. When you normally hit somebody, Ken, and they're standing, there's a give. There's a give.
Yes, that's right.
So there's no give when you're hitting them and their head is against the floor.
That's right.
There's no give. There's no give. So you're pounding a nail into a block of wood. That's what you're doing. There's nowhere to go.
Yep.
So he's throwing these massive punches with power, and he finally gets through to the point where he's got him unconscious, and he's hitting him with these shots one after another, where again he's just not only absorbing the punch, but the head is going against the freaking floor. So there's no. I'm repeating myself. It's worth repeating. There's no give. So he's taking these shots, and it got scary. Thank God he's okay. He's okay. It got stopped. I thought it could have been one of those really scary things, or was one of those scary things that could have went bad. But thank God it didn't. And Ngannou look, your heart has to go out to the man. He lost his son.
Oh, painful.
Your heart has to go out. You can't be human and not feel for Francis Ngannou for what he's gone through and what he continues to go through. Because you lose a child, it never ends. It's not like, there's closure. You go and you say goodbye.
You're right.
No. There's a hole. There's a hole in your life that is never gonna be filled. It's never gonna be closed. And all you can do is pray for someone like that. Pray for Francis and his family that they can feel, they can get comforted by their beliefs. They can have solitude in their beliefs that their son is in a special place where he will always be there. When they leave this planet, they will once again rejoin. I mean, that's the only way. That's the only way you can, at all, come close to being able to get through a day. Because I don't know how you do it, to be honest. It's and you saw that raw emotion again with Francis after the fight when he started to talk about it and started to, obviously show those kind of emotions. So our prayers go out to Francis and his family, and also, thank God that the other guy did not get hurt in this case.
Yep. Well, congrats to Francis for picking up another title, getting back onto his winning ways, and I'll be curious to see what's next for Francis. But Teddy, that's a pretty thorough breakdown for a very slow week in combat sports, relatively speaking. But thank you for doing this. Thank you to all the fans for being with us. Do you have anything else, Teddy, before we say goodbye?
Adios, amigos. Adios, amigos.
Thank you guys for being with us. Please like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. It helps us immensely, and we'll be back next week with all the action. Boom.